So when I do my, most of the time when I do my conference, I always like to look at the bar tab to see how my breakfast meeting's going to go. So I appreciate everybody coming out, actually showing up. I've never been called a missing link in public before. So my cousin calls me a Sasquatch for other reasons. He's also an Oompa Loompa. I don't know where he came from. So I run Professional Outdoor Media Association. My presentation is stolen from a lot of people. I have the ability to look at the industry as a whole from 1,000 yards. So I work with 100 or so corporations. I work with about 300 or 400 storytellers, media people, videographers, editors. So I get to see the good, the bad, the ugly with it. So I look at it as a business all the way around. So that's really how I want to present it. I'm here for questions, but most of the time is I want to start with perception. We all don't sit in newspaper rooms anymore. The old traditions and the changing world. That's what we'll go over. But I always like to start with a little humor in the morning. Hopefully, the internet works.
Each year during deer season, many hunters are accidentally shot by their fellow hunters who carelessly anything that moves, without first seeing if it has antlers. So, for the cautious hunter who values his life, we have designed this foolproof hunting outfit. Speaking of safety in the woods, our old friend Ed here has designed a special deer hunting outfit for the mother-in-law. Hey, look at a deer. Steady, boy. Whoops. Go get him, Ed. Attaboy, Ed. Let's go. Well, looks like quite a few of the other boys got theirs too. I wonder what happened to Ed. Oh. Well, nice knowing you, Ed. Bye now.
So a couple things about that. Number one, I was looking for a video about hunter safety in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, and this is the top one that shows up. So in some place in our congressional library, this is what hunter's ed was back then. But the other thing about that is something really of a notice is there's no women, right? There's one, but we hunt them. In this day of age, that I don't even like saying that in a microphone. So. But it's also not very diverse. It's also very stereotypical, and that the world is changing. I look out in this room and I can tell you it's changing. So it's always interesting from where we started. So again, the heritage. We talk a lot about heritage on our side, and I've heard it talked about quite a bit. But as young hunters come in, and hunters or anglers or outdoorsmen or outdoorswomen. The reality is, if they don't have a father, grandfather, grandmother who started in this is their heritage starts. They don't have this heritage. Like I grew up in a big outdoor community, Northwest Indiana. I grew up in the Great Lakes. Salmon fishing was sort of a Sunday thing to do. But this is where I started. But if you talk to one of our members who is called Country Living Outdoor Lifestyle, big podcast, 17,000 of listeners a week, he is an LA-born rock and roll drummer, never been in this before. And he's coming from a place that, quite frankly, when they say, hey, what did your parents do? He goes, my dad was a roadie for AC/DC. That's what his dad did. So not a lot of time to hunt and fish. But he's made a whole living out of it, so it's amazing. So traditional outdoor media, long form print word, and I still love it. I'm an avid book collector. I love the good magazines. Andrew talked about magazines yesterday. I still love the tactile feel of them. For broadcast options were very limited. And then the small national titles. I'm talking mostly about a newspaper. Everybody, if you talk to some of the guys who've been in this for a long time, talk about the good old days when every newspaper had their outdoor writer, right? Yeah, everybody knew him. I knew the guy who wrote for the Chesterton Trib. He lived to be like 1,000 years old. He's awesome, but a lot of them are all syndicated. But the changing world. So I do like the slide for a couple reasons. That's my wife on the first duck hunt. 2 things about this: never teach your wife how to duck hunt. So I sent her away to do that. That's in great state in Mississippi, and she has taken about 34 communicators out for their first hunt through the Nissan Adventure program. So it's pretty amazing work. She has her own shotgun, her own safe. She has all the money. I don't know where all my stuff went, but somehow she got sick of it. I don't know. It's really sweet. She's doing better than I am. But it's sort of always fun. But then the other thing is demographics, and this is so I like to listen. I like to listen to what's going on. So this is what the Google demographics talk about us: youth, women, local boards, multicultural. That number, the 30%, has gone up quite significantly in the last 3 years. 69% stays the same. But the biggest number that gets me excited, and they took the laser pointer away from me for probably good reasons, is the 47% and the 28%, the 18 to 24 range. If you go to ICAST or SHOT Show or some of the big shows, they talk about the dwindling numbers. We just have to make sure we're including them and making things easy. I think he left. The guy from Tennessee, is he here? Nope, he left. We talked about getting licensed and making them frictionless. I talk about this a lot with my membership. A young person coming in the membership, I have to compete with Amazon. It's a button mashing system. So if you can't hit go and make it easy, they're done. My drop-off rate is amazing. If I had this old system that you had to fill out your name, obviously you have to fill out your name and address, but like a profile, how you qualify, all these point systems. While important, when we got to the 4th question, and that 18 to 24-year-old is gone. Gone, about 72% drop-off rate. I have to then physically call them up and then fish through it. So one of my main goals is to make that easier. The other thing I've noticed is they don't answer emails, funny enough, but I also talk through them through text. So we have a text system that says, hey, it's time to renew your dues. And believe it or not, they will mash that thing faster than the response rate is amazing, and it's dirt cheap to do. So, fragmented industry, right? So you see these guys on social, they've broken it down: rifle, shotgun, instant travel, glamping, camping, magazine, social media, streaming. Everything's in their niche. So make sure, I'll talk a lot about this, but make sure you know where you need help with. So if you have a group, you have something coming in the glamping, camping, make sure you're not talking to a guy who does AR-15 builds. I know it sounds but it's true. These guys, I get them all the time. I get media requests. They broadcast. I'm like, well, that's not. None of these people are going to talk about that. Shotgun, rifle, muzzle, same thing. And just know your media. So I have a question. We have 40 states here. Do you know at least a couple media people in your state? Like, you work with them every day. Excellent. Love it. And then media options, social media, streaming, cable. We'll talk about that. The origin story of social media and the hunting. I love this slide because I don't think it's new. In fact, it's about a couple thousand years old. But that to me is not. It's really hands and going forward. Shift to visual media, short form, high impact visuals. When I say short form, I have the honor to sit on a committee with a Fortune 20 company that works with ads. And when they talk about short form, they're talking about 1 second ads. So think about that for a second. Big corporations, millions and millions of dollars. This one company has about $44 million they run on marketing, and they talk almost exclusively on anything under 10 seconds. But right now they're really focusing on 1 second ads and how to make that a high impact visual. And that's a challenge for us, right? We like to tell a story. We love to tell a story, but how do we do that in a way that engages our audience, makes people want to come outside and do things? And I don't have that question. I don't have the answer yet. But video is one of the biggest ways. I assume everybody's heard of Meat Eater. Raise your hand. All right. Do an incredible job. These guys have, Steve Rinella has done an incredible job. I have a 13-year-old son I'll talk about quite a bit. He annoys me all the time. But this is the only outdoor show that I think he watches. It's amazing. He consumes it on Amazon. He consumes it on his phone. He just loves it. And they do an incredible job. Then the focus of personalities. Everybody hears a personality. So yesterday I was hearing, how do we do it as a department? I don't know what your policies are. I've never worked in the state agency, so I tend to work in the private agency where I work fast and I break a lot of things. But everybody should be posting about their work. I really believe that. And if you need two accounts, I do. If you ever find me on Facebook, I have 2 accounts. One of them is for my family. You do not want to hear about my uncle's rants and stuff, so I keep all that stuff separate from my work stuff. But you're a brand. You guys are doing some cool things every day. I talked to somebody this morning that said, it's better than working in an office. Heck yeah, it is. It's amazing. We're in the process. Wayne Board was a good friend of mine who just passed away, and it's terrible. He's an incredible TV host, and he loved to say that, he goes, we're in the business of selling fun. He goes, why do they watch that? He goes, we get to do it. And make sure they understand that we're doing things. So I really believe that each of you, it should be a channel for your department, whatever that is. I'm not telling you to go rogue, but whatever's in your policies. And then really the how-to, behind the scenes of the how-to. Some of the highest rated videos are from guys who show packing their bags. I do not understand this. No one wants to see me pack my luggage. Mostly it's like a sack. But it is amazing. So talk about behind the scenes fixing engines of your water vessels, or going behind the scenes and seeing what's happening. I loved the photo yesterday of the plants growing. Well done, by the way, reaching out. But talk about what's going on behind the scenes on a daily basis. And then how-tos. There's a little company called Salt Strong. If my Florida peeps are still here, all right? Have you worked with these guys before? Little Gasparilla Island. They created an incredible article. They owned an insurance company before this, and they wrote an article called "The Day I Stole Their Fish and Burned My Suit." Incredible. It's a true story. It only happens in Florida. But they run Salt Strong is an incredible website. I don't know if you've used them. They're a little out of Little Gasparilla Island. I'm going to go spend a week with them after this. But really what their strength is simple how-to videos. How to tie knots, how to make things happen, how to catch more snook with this certain bait. It makes things simple. And you guys have a ton of how-tos. How do I do this? Where do I go? Those are quick little touches. And then encompassing the adventure, just not the outcome. I can't stress this enough. Photos, if you see incredible high-end photos of what's driving the market right now, is not necessarily the kill shot. It's about where we're going. I was told by an Instagram rep that 70% of the searches on Instagram are travel and getting there. So tell us where we're going. Tell us how we're getting there. And I get the chance to work with a lot of those CVBs. So in states, maybe this is a good partnership. Say, hey, we're going to do a fishing trip, and this is where we're going. These again, But then I really want to talk about how things are consumed. And this video really puts it in perspective for me. And bear with me. Give me a minute. So incredible, right? It's sort of mind-boggling, actually. But the rate of this is amazing. And I can tell you, right now in the industry, it is an incredible time. There's so many outlets and so many ways to tell the story. It's fascinating. But there's no magic bullet. So I'm going to break down our friends at Gun Talk and why I say that people will talk to me about strategy. How do I get into this? How do I do this? And then you should look at your agencies the same way. There's no magic bullet. You just can't say we're going to do Twitter. Okay, you should do Twitter, but it should also be part of what you're doing, not the whole. So this is how they break down. Mostly reach 6 million gun enthusiasts. Airs 242 radio sponsors. They just picked up some more. But this is how they all break down. The biggest thing here is, to me, is the Roku, Apple, Amazon TV. It's about how it's the cord cutters. It's a new way to talk. So, gives you a nice little bump. It's not on social, it didn't happen. This is my wife's quote, and I love it, and I mean that. I'm not picking on Montana Outdoors, but you guys do an incredible job of having your magazine, your tactile magazine, flow back to your social feeds. So where are you in the audience? I know you're in the audience. Give a big round of applause for them. I'm serious. You do an incredible job. But if it doesn't happen on social, it doesn't. So you should drive to your magazine. The magazine should drive you back to social, and make that integration happen. And I can't stress that enough. But that's just the way it is. If it doesn't on social, it didn't happen. My son tells me all the time. I'm like, oh, man, this guy is like, I didn't see a picture. It didn't ever happen. And then we talked about Facebook yesterday. So this is one of my most frustrating slides. In 2011, about 26% of your organic people saw your stuff. How many of you people have sat on Facebook and realized one of your friends had a big thing happen and you can't find it, but somebody else saw it? Right? You have to go search for it because it's only about 1% if you're not putting money behind it. Sort of frustrating, huh? So when you say I have 10 million people, that's only reaching so many. But the new Facebook, Instagram. I use Instagram every day. I barely use Facebook. Most of my new members, my new media come from Instagram. Writers, photographers, video editors. 18 years old, 70%, 13 to 17 year olds coming up. That number really bothers me as a father to a 13-year-old, 53 minutes a day on Instagram. It might bother me because it's a kid. Also, I'd probably spend that much time on Instagram as well. But 75 from the brand, follow the social media, the one they don't. And then use your champions. Yesterday there was a great presentation about using influencers. There's a couple ways. I have all kinds of opinions about influencers. I've seen good influencers, I've seen bad influencers. In my opinion, I think you should have some kind of relationship with that influencer instead of using an agency. If there's an agency out here right now, I apologize. But it's important, they're on the same page as you. The whys line up, I think Mr. Eric Dinger said yesterday, right? Eric? Yeah, they have to line up. So, there you go from there. You guys all know Powder Hook, but there are amazing apps out there, there's different avenues. One of the biggest things we do have on social media is some of this stuff will not get published because it has to do with hunting. So that's the deal. So this is another app, Go Wild, the great guys out of Louisville. Strangely enough, they have augmented reality, which I do not understand, but I think it's pretty cool. So if you track with your Garmin watch where you're going and what you're doing, if you're running, hunting, fishing, whatever you're doing, you can actually take your heartbeat and transfer it to your post. So keep up with me. And then when I post, you guys could all feel my heartbeat where I was and what I was doing. And I know it sounds weird, but people love it. So if you want to feel like what it's like when you're hunting bucks, you can actually touch your phone and feel my heartbeat as I shot my buck. So as an old man, probably very, very, but it's sort of cool. They do some really cool stuff. It's that augmented reality. And then the guy from Go Wild says, hey, if you guys you need some help, he's here to help too. Brad Luttrell, I'll help give you the contact after this. So I know there's a lot of good ones, but this is one of the best ones with Powder Hook and some other guys. And then podcasting. How many states have a podcast? Like a consistent podcast? 1, 2, 3. Good for you. All together? I'm going to give you credit all the way around. I can't stress this enough for an SEO grab. If you want to have a topic, this is incredible. It's relatively cheap to do. Everybody can do it. I don't know what the bandwidth of your department is, but this is really a great way to do it. I would like to know how to get, I was talking to somebody yesterday about how to get points in a certain state. Sometimes the regs are a little confusing. Not criticizing anybody, but it's sort of like, it's like choose your own adventure. And you can buy an extra point. And then communicate with the audience using communication style. And then the other thing, you can have champions talk about the guy that's been a warrant officer for 25 years and tell his stories. It's great to do. And then you can always listen to this one. It's 3 hours of me babbling, but it's pretty good. So the initial social strategy. So this is the other thing I really like to hit on is the fact that it can't be one or the other. So I go out, and companies do this as well. They pick the youngest person in the room and say, now you're in charge of social. Is that how you guys do it? Yeah, it's not that. Your social should be part of your marketing plan, whatever that is. It has to be integrated in. It just can't be an add-on. But that's, again, video, and then social media listeners work smarter. This is one of my favorite slides. So I assume everybody uses Google Trends. There's 1,000 companies that are out there that will help you even further. But this is free insights, right? So Fishing Day 2000 breaks down. This is basically hunting and fishing for the last 5 years. I don't know why it ebbs and flows like that, but it is. But this is my big thing. So, this slide right here. So on October of this year, the blue line is all hunting, fishing searches in the world on Google. This red line is when Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, and the search was only for hunting, Red Dead Redemption. And you're going to ask me, Kevin, now you're talking about video games. Yeah, I am. Because what happened at the Orthman house is we have an upstairs playroom, and I had kids come down, and these are the 3 questions I get. My son comes down and says, where do you shoot a coyote? And I'm like, anywhere. And he goes back upstairs. I get another kid comes down and goes, Mr. Orthman, how do you shoot a crocodile? I'm like, what? I go, I don't know, I've never done it. He's like, okay, comes down. Another kid comes down and says, Mr. Orthman, where do you shoot a buffalo? I said, out west. And it's like, he comes back down and goes, no, where on its body? And now, the third question, I'm like, what the hell's going on upstairs? So I came up, and this is a huge part of the game. It is an immensely huge part of the game. So now I have 4 kids that want to go hunting and fishing because of reversing it through. I'm like, so I told the story. I'm like, well, actually, we can actually hunt coyotes. Buffalo, you guys don't have the budget for it. But, I do. But that, and to reverse it. So everybody's like, oh my gosh, video games. Well, think about it. They open that whole thing up. I think there's over 135 animals you can hunt in the game. Squirrels, rabbits, cockroaches, I don't know, all kinds of crazy stuff. And then they actually have basically a journal. And it'll talk about the animal, what its habitat is, you have to shoot with the right rifle, where the skin comes from, how to cook the meat, the whole 9 yards. It's pretty cool, actually. And I've shot a lot of buffalo in this game. But that, don't just poo-poo the idea that we're competing. Make sure they're coming back. So they also can even. Oops. They can even. Oh, come here. Oh, come on. We're doing so well. Well, again, if this pops up, it'd be great. We also fish. So video games, Twitch streaming. I don't know if any of you have kids that have been on Twitch. The amazing people that are on Twitch are actually avid hunters and fishermen.
There you go.
Oh, nice. Oh, this is teasing us. Future our fish. But yeah, so sort of fun. And Twitch streaming. So Twitch streaming right now, I have 2 producers working in the state of Mississippi and one in Louisiana. They're gonna do a live duck hunt this year on their TV show on Twitch. And the guys who run Twitch, everybody's like Silicon Valley hates hunting and fishing. The guys who rep this are some of the biggest outdoorsmen I've ever met. So they're open to it. So that'll be interesting. I don't know if it'll work, but it's sort of interesting. But that's at younger. And then premium coffee table magazines. I love them. I have it in a good example. Meta is a dear friend of mine that reached incredible outlooks on basically motorcycle riding. You guys, it's $16 a pop. They have about 44,000 active people who pay for it. But it's really about high-end imagery. They're not dead. Just make sure they're good. And I know it sounds weird, but it's the reality. Yeah, a Modern Outdoorsman is another one that's sort of hot right now. They're real there. And then Mossy Oak Go, or platforms like it. Mossy Oak Go, if you guys obviously know the brand, basically they pulled a lot of their stuff, all their original stuff on their content is on an app now. It's an incredible content. It's an incredible thing. The read-through rates are just sick. So, and then always be present. So when I say that is, we all get in this bubble, right? We all get, oops, now it works. But we get in this bubble, we all talk to each other, but we don't look from outside. And I think that's the biggest mistake. I came from the dental industry, and then I'm running a media organization, so let that soak in. But I like to steal from the outside. This is one of my favorites. And this might be loud, I apologize. But think about how when we talk about listening, think of how you're delivering your message. Nailed it. When that's the only thing on the slide, it's actually very hard to watch. Doesn't kick up here, kills it. It's my favorite though. No, that's not what I'm showing. That's what they're getting to look at.
I like an undercut for this, so easy. To give my hair some volume, I follow the brush. Normally I come straight out of the shower, I take the blow dryer and I dry my hair.
Ah, wir gehen ein bisschen zurück, aber ich finde es gut.
Creo que tengo alrededor de 40 páginas. If you're being authentic in what you're doing and what you're wearing, you look cool anyway.
So look what's going on around, you know, so that messaging is very clear. How can we help? This is where, you know, this is I don't do a sales pitch, but our job is for your media coverage to be the voice you guys can't be sometimes, keeping up with the trends and a network resource. The ones that you're working with already, you know how valuable this is, the media coverage. There's no one in my organization, I would say, with almost 100% confident that wouldn't help. If there's a message, there's so much going on that we don't know about, or we hear about it late, or you get the media alerts the day of. There's just a little dig there. So you can't send me a media alert at noon and the vote's at 1. I appreciate them, but I can't help you at that point. Keeping up with the trends. It's interesting to watch, like we talked about, what these guys are doing. We have a lot of young people in our organization, and I barely can keep up with what they're doing, let alone how they're doing. And then network resourcing. That's why you guys are all here, right? I think we opened the whole meeting with stealing from your neighbors and stealing good stuff. That's all about networking. I'm for it. And that's really what we try to do. Use POMA as your resources. Leverage a network of photographers, your image call list. This happens almost weekly on my side. I need a photo of fill in the blank. All right, well, what do you want? I have a number of photos, some of the top in the US. They already have a lot of stock photo. It makes life a lot easier. Meet with established relationships, the vetted influencers. So we started an influencer category about 2 years ago. That's where a lot of our influx of young people are coming in. The problem with the challenge with influencers is, who are they, right? What do they really stand for? Are they doing something stupid with your brand on it? That's reality. Ask Subway. We really work hard to make sure they're pros and doing what they doing what they say they're going to do. Push content through our network out of outlets. We have outlets that will publish crazy stuff and good stuff, but our list just on our own, we send out to about 35,000 people 4 times a day. I'm sorry, 4 times a week. We take a rest on Fridays. But then there's also websites like Ammo Land. So if you have gun-related material or hunting-related material, I just talked to Freddie this morning. He said, whatever you guys need, we'll push it out. If you don't know what Ammo Land is, in the top 200, it's actually in the top 200 US websites in the US for 44 million unique viewers a month. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to help. And then this is from this year. This one will load. like I said, thank you for your time. We're here to help. We truly are here to help you guys communicate the message out there to all the good work you're doing. I know there's a lot of men and women in this room that bust their ass. And really, I only swore once. I didn't, my wife would be proud. We're here to help. I'm here for questions all week. I leave Thursday morning. I don't know where it's good. I have no idea what time it is, Jennifer.
You're good.
All right. So do you have any questions or any stupid questions I can make up lies to?
No stupid questions.
All right. Excellent. Well, I hope you enjoy the presentation.